Hi, my name is Mark. So a couple of months ago, I made this video about why your modes don't really sound like modes. This probably has happened to you before. You learn about all the modes and you learn that the Lydian scale is all dreamy sounding and that the mixed Lydian scale has all that bluesy snap to it. But then when you try to use those scales, they don't really sound dreamy or bluesy or like whichever way they used to describe it. And as you can guess, in that video I kinda teach you how to get around it and how to apply it to any scale in its particular sound. If you haven't watched that video, I highly suggest you do, because in this video we're sort of taking that way of applying the modes and kinda taking it for a different spin, giving you another way to apply it in a composing/songwriting-ish way. Let's say that you wanted to compose a song in a Lydian, for instance. Probably something you would do is trying to find a melody, or maybe you have a chord progression that fits in with the Lydian tonality. And that's all fine and dandy, but what if you have a riff or a melody that doesn't really bring you the Lydian vibes? How can you make it sound Lydian-ish or melodic minor-ish, harmonic minor, you name it? That's what we're going to focus on today. But before we get into it, I just want to say, please subscribe to my channel. You're probably aware that YouTube's been acting a little bit weird lately. Even if you subscribe to the channel, those channel's videos may really not show up in your subscription box. And even if you ring the little notification bell thingy below, you'll still really will not be notified of that channel's content. So if you want to stay tuned to my content, I highly suggest you subscribe and turn on all the notifications. And since that may or may not work, I highly suggest you follow me on social media. Not only do I post some exclusive stuff there, like improvised solos and jamming over backing tracks, and generally whatever I'm up to at the moment, but I always post there about my videos. Links for the usual suspects will be below, like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, but in general, at Guitar. Oh, and since you're down there, please consider leaving a like, and perhaps share this video on social media. I'd highly appreciate it. And yeah, I guess now we can get straight into it. Okay, so as I mentioned before, if you wanted to have a song in a Lydian tonality, you would probably try to find either a melody that's in a Lydian tonality, like, or perhaps try to find a chord progression that's in that Lydian tonality. And if you have either one of those or both, it's pretty easy to start building a song that's sort of in a Lydian tonality. But this time we're looking at another example. I think in the other video we focused more on major sounding scales, so let's try and look at a minor one. Let's go for the key of E. And let's say that we have a little riff melody thing that goes like... Just a simple melody, I'll play it slow for you. It's mostly around an E minor arpeggio, but we add the 4th or the 11th, so it's kind of an E minor 11th arpeggio. If we add the 7th in there, it would be a pentatonic melody, but I purposely left out the minor 7th, but just this isn't going to make a song. We need something under it, like a bass line or a couple of chords. Let's look at a bass line first, because it's easier. We've already said that we're in E minor, right? And if we were to add a bass line over it, we would probably go something like blues scale or the pentatonic scale or even natural minor. And we could even change the first note for the note of the bass line, like... And we're getting a slightly more interesting song, right? But this time I just took notes of the minor pentatonic scale. But because we're using notes of an E minor arpeggio, the only extension we're adding is that 11th, the 4th. This little riff of ours doesn't need to be played over a pentatonic bass line. It can be played over a harmonic minor one. If you don't know what the harmonic minor scale is, it's like your minor scales, so E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. But instead of having a D, we have a D sharp, and we go back to D. All of the notes of our little melody riff thing are in this harmonic minor scale. so you could have a little bass line over this melody riff thingy that has the notes of the harmonic minor scale. Even though the riff isn't necessarily a harmonic minor riff, it fits into that scale, so we can imply the sound of that scale over that melody if we use notes from that scale in our bass line. For instance, we could do a bass line like... In this case, my bass line was E, C, A, and then that little D sharp. And again, you can play the bass line and the melody. And you're invoking the sound of that harmonic scale a little bit more. And again, because this is an E minor riff / E minor melody, which shows the E harmonic minor scale, but you don't need to use the harmonic minor scale. You can use again perhaps the melodic minor scale, which again for those who don't know is like your major scale, but you flatten the third note, making it a minor scale. And you can have a bass line with some of those notes, like for instance you can have something like E, D sharp, A, C sharp. Or even the Phrygian scale. Which is like your minor scale with a flat ninth or a flat second. And as I mentioned before, we're doing bass lines in a specific key, but you don't need to do solely bass lines. You can do chords. For instance, if you look at the harmonic minor key, if I'm not wrong, we did a bass line like... So let's get the chords with those roots. For instance, for the E, we'll do an E minor chord. For the C, we can do a C major chord. For the A, we can do an A minor chord. And for the D sharp, we can do something like, I don't know, a D sharp diminished. And we'll get something like... Or even if we take a look at the melodic minor scale, E, A, and B, all of those notes are in our melodic minor scale. Again, I'm going to brush a little bit on how we make the chords. If you want to learn more about that, you can check out one of my other videos like this one. Again, in the key of E melodic minor, our bass line being E, A, and B. Can perhaps do an E minor 13. Let's perhaps do it down here. I think it's better for the other chords. E, D flat, G, and B. For the A, we could perhaps do the A dominant 7th sharp 11th. Again, A, E, then G, C sharp, and E flat. And for the B, we can just do like perhaps a B augmented. So we'd have something like... And we made our little riff sound way more melodic minor-ish without having to give up on this riff or modifying it. And many times I see students and other guitar players saying, okay, this riff is cool, but it doesn't sound like I'm using the melodic minor scale. Maybe I should change it. Maybe I should play something like... And it's really cool that you do these sorts of things. One, you get more comfortable around different positions of scales and how to build melodies around these scales. But if you really like your initial riff and you want to keep it for the song, this is something you can do. And as I mentioned before, our initial riff worked well with the scales we chose because all of the scales we chose had the notes E, G, A, and B. If we chose a scale that didn't have one of those notes, for instance if we kind of wanted to invoke the Locrian sound, the Locrian sound has most of the notes of that melody, except the B. Instead of a B, has a B flat. So when doing bass lines, if we were to land on an A sharp, and the melody would land on that B, that may not be the sound you're looking for. If it is, more to you, but I highly suggest you think about these sorts of things first. If you want to get into this and do these sorts of riff things your own with bass lines or chords on your own, perhaps film yourself playing those, post them on Instagram, and tag me on them. Not only will I see it, but I'll repost it and tag you on it. I'd really like to see what you guys can come up with. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope this video was helpful to you in any way possible, and if it was, please leave me a comment below. Do you have anything to add to this discussion? Did you agree? Did you not agree? Was there something I missed? Something I should have said? Also, if you have any suggestions for videos, I have this dedicated series called Yate, You Ask I Teach. I know, pretty boring, generic, and self-explanatory title in a way, but it is a series, as you can imagine, where I pretty much teach anything guys leave in the comment section below. Well, guitar and music related, of course. So if you want to get a shout out, get your question answered, or you have something you want me to talk about, please leave it in the comments below with the hashtag Yate. And also, check out some of my other videos. As you can guess, sometimes I do videos talking about some music theory related concepts like this one, and how to apply them, but sometimes I also talk about technique. And even some other times I talk about this specifically from a guitar player that I either think is interesting, or a little bit different from what they usually play, and then transcribe it and break it down so that you can learn from it. If you've liked this video, you'd probably like to check out how to apply any scale possible, or even maybe what's the big deal with the melodic minor scale. And since I mentioned other guitar players, what about the Frank Gambale lick of Frank Gambale licks? All those videos will be in the card section right there, on the description below, and on the animation of the end screen in just a couple of seconds, so please stay tuned. And yeah, I guess that's it. Again, thank you so very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications. Perhaps share this video on social media, I'd highly appreciate it. If you can, leave a comment for my Yate series. That series can only keep going on if you guys leave comments. Follow me on social media, and cheers!